I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camps RC.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to check out the HX100 SE Ultralight Series. This is a 1S Toothpick. Pretty cool because it's ultra lightweight, running on that 1S 450, and there's a 2S option available. It has a wheelbase of around 100mm on that unibody frame, and it is 2mm thick. It looks like a pretty decent quality carbon fiber as well. Plug and play motors on the bottom of this in case you break one. No solder required there. I love that they have a strap on this one for that 450 battery. Thank God. It is the Betafpv F4 1S brushless flight controller on here. A variety of receivers are also available, and we have an injection molded canopy on this one, which is pretty nice. Dipole in the back is the 01M01 VTX. It is a 25 milliwatt VTX, by the way, for close proximity flying. 2 bolts hold that canopy on, and the M01 600 TVL camera has a lot of field of view on it, so you don't need a ton of tilt. T65 props on here. They are push-on props, no bolts, and 1102 13,500 kV motors with 3 bolts on the bottom holding it to the carbon frame. And we have the new BT 2.0 connector. It's going to give you better power to the motors, and we're going to use a 6-in-1. That's what I'm going to recommend, the 6-in-1 by Eachine. You can take the adapters, your PH 2.0 connector adapter, over to the BT 2.0, and you're off and charging up to 6 batteries at once. This is a nice charger. It is selectable between HV and regular LiPo. You can also change the current on there, and the LED display shows you each battery's voltage level during the current charge and the total storage charge that you have on your supply battery, which is really nice. Now let's go ahead and see 30 grams without the battery. Now with the 1S 450 on there, up to 42 grams. That's really good takeoff weight. So we're going to go ahead and test it out now. Let's talk about performance first, because this was my first impression of this quad, was that it had a really nice light floaty feel to this quad. It feels like a combination of a Whoop but with Toothpick style aerobatic capability, which is really kind of a fun and different thing for me. This is a much smaller Toothpick than what I'm used to flying, because this is way lighter at the 40 gram mark versus something like the Gap RC Phantom, which is, you know, well up in the 60 to 70 to 80 gram range. Bigger power system, but when you change the weight and you still have 1102s on there, you go way smaller with the weight, you have a great response on the throttle. So it's really smooth tune on here as well. I have to comment on the tune. It feels nice and smooth. I do see some breakup around the trees with the 25 milliwatt, if I can sort of get after something here in this review. And I have to say that the camera is not the greatest. The M01 series from Betafpv is not like a super crowd favorite. But then again, it is one of those overcast days, and it's not really doing this camera justice. It just doesn't really handle the low light very well. When you get down low to the ground, stuff kind of gets a little bit black down below on the bottom half of the screen. You can see that there. But I think on the typical sunny day, coming up in the spring and summer, this camera would be acceptable, but not any better than acceptable in my opinion. And hey, that's what reviews are for. We got to be honest in our reviews, right? Again, not a crowd favorite on this camera. If you could switch it out to something like the Runcam Nano 2 or even the Nano 3 that's coming out, that might be a better choice for this particular quad. It's always a good thing to level up and upgrade your camera, because it changes your experience. Now, I'm not totally sure what happened right there, but I'm going to go ahead and rearm it anyway. My battery is on the way out, but we're just going to see how much longer I can fly this around. And a little bit of shudder right there in that high throttle situation. I've got my throttle on the bottom left, as you guys can see right there, just changing. And I'm barely ever over 50% throttle with this quad. If I go above like 80% of throttle is when I start to see a little bit of shudder on this airframe. And you can play around. If you already bought this frame, play around with some, I believe they were 23, or they were some 2036 props, I believe. The old school 4-blade props. You can try to find some of those online, and here they are right here. We're going to test those out for you. And I feel like these have, even though they're just a little bit smaller, they're not 2.5 inch, they're just a little bit smaller, around 2.3 inch. They actually perform pretty well. And since I have 4 blades on there, it's giving me good punch out and good float and lift. I really want to go under the van, but we're not going to try that today with this quad because I really don't want to break this canopy. My van is notorious for breaking injection molded and really cheap plastic canopies. I've crashed whoops into it and broke them clean off the whoop. The side of that van's like old school steel. So hopefully you guys are being able to get outside in your backyards, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this review, is because I'm going to be reviewing some smaller stuff on the channel coming up, mainly because a lot of us are kind of trapped indoors right now with the quarantine situation, and I want to be able to put some things on the channel that you could get and fly at home without having to take off down the street and try to risk, you know, getting caught in your local park, depending on what your ordinance is or whether it's like a stay-at-home order or whatnot. But around where we are, I might be lucky if I do get out. But if I get out, I'm going to share some more flights with you guys, of course. I'm going to try to fly every day, depending on where I'm allowed to go or where I'm not allowed to go in this case. But this was a fun little parking lot experience, and if you have a quad that's around 100 millimeters, if you're just getting started in FPV, this is nice because you can fly this in your yard. It still has a pretty good amount of speed with this quad, and you can fly it in a small location. There we go, I did it. I went under the van. Got lucky. So you can fly this type of quad in way smaller spaces, and if you're just starting out, you can put stability mode on here and you can fly it in stability mode. You don't have to do all the flippy dippy wild stuff and risk breaking your quad the first couple days you have it. Just go easy on it. It is a cruiser if you want, and so in this flight mainly I'm just trying to show some cruising and not go totally wild. No, I found one of the ghost branches. The leaves haven't quite come out yet. It'll be fun when the leaves come out. We'll have more power looping happening and some Matty flips. But it feels good. The power to weight ratio on here, I wouldn't say it's like 10 to 1. It might be like 1 to 6 or so. But it is able to catch itself. And I think for the price of this one, it's a little bit cheaper than some of the other ones out there. You can also check out the 2S version if you want that 2S power. That's just going to make it feel a little more like a 5-inch. But in my opinion, this one feels like a hybrid whoop / toothpick. But I had fun with it. I think the price is good. It's really cool that it is so lightweight, around the 40 gram mark. I think that's awesome. The power system on here with these props make it a fun quad. And the injection molded canopy is way more durable. You can see it didn't come back with cracks. It's also extremely light with no battery at around the 30 gram mark. But I do like the unibody frame on the bottom. The strap is also nice. The new connector on there as well is a nice upgrade. The plug and play motors. The dampening is pretty decent on here. There's 4-point dampening versus 3. There's some jello in some of the 3 dampened post configurations that I've seen lately. So I think overall they have a pretty decent product. I think that it probably could have a better camera on here. I'd like to see that future versions of the HX series would probably run the RunCam 3 camera, but I give it 1 thumbs up out of 2. So I'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care.